delivered tech solutions to three-quarters of the globe. Mercedes-Benz. He established Southeast Asia's first automotive accelerator, startup Autobahn Singapore, dedicated to future mobility. He has experience of working with Fortune 20 companies and has across all the continents. So now let's have a look on the topics which we are going to cover up in today's session. What disruption COVID-19 has made, how technology is defining future of work, and how we can stay ahead of the curve, plug in D&I at workplace. So before I hand over the mic to Mr. Gaurav, I have few housekeeping. So I would love to hear from our lovely audience. If you have any questions or any query during today's presentation, you can just write your questions in your question box in your control panel. So we will bring them up during the presentation, and we also have some time at the end to answer your questions. Now, without any further ado, we will turn the mic over to Mr. Gaurav. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Anshul. Hi, everyone, and thanks a lot for having me. I must appreciate how Inclusify is bridging the gap between the diverse work pool and as well as the corporate sectors which actually need to hire this work pool, especially Ankur and entire Inclusify team. As Anshul has mentioned, today we will talk about what change COVID-19 is bringing to the immediate step, and how do we see the future in 5 to 10 or 20 years down the line? What do we need to be able in order to remain relevant with the changing scenarios around us? And I would say the key takeaway for you would be, at least after the session, you would be able to think and see what steps you have to do in order to be relevant with the way the world is going to change around us. So I tried also to make it a little bit more relevant, the sessions, and then engaging. You will have polls. Within the polls, we'll come to know what are the things you are knowing and how the factuals are moving. We also have a small clipping for you, just to give some visuals how the future would look like. And at the end, we'll talk about how we move forward. And individually, what are the key takes away we have to do. So start with the situation we are undergoing through. I would say in our generation, after the World War II, there was never ever an incident happened where the entire planet is witnessing the same calamity. And entire planet is taking actually similar steps to get rid of this calamity. Life has changed for everyone. Things which could not have imagined is happening, like homeschooling, schooling through Zoom or Skype. Airline industry is completely shut down. Oil was selling minus $37 yesterday, and in May also it's minus $27. So what we are undergoing through is a turbulent time, and certainly this will have a lot more impact on the economy. Other things which we could see that this will leave a lasting impact on our life. Social distancing, the things which we are talking about, reducing the travel, telecommuting, not going out that frequently, not using the shared economy, shared things like shared space, shared car. This is something which we are right now undergoing through it. We have been told to keep a distance. We have been told not to use the shared thing. We have been told to do these things in order not to get infected. If we continue doing it for a month or two, somehow this will also get into our habits. Also, many stereotypings are fading away. I make almost 25 to 30 travels a year. From last 1 month, I have not been anywhere, confined to my home because of this in Singapore. I would have been in 3 to 4 places. Does that impact to my daily work and life? No, Recently, on 14th of April, we have gone live with an ERP in Mercedes-Benz India, while everyone was working from home. India was locked down, Singapore was locked down. It was a team working in India, Singapore, and Germany, and everyone was working from home. Before this, if anyone could have asked me that, can we do the ERP go live in this fashion? The answer would have been, are you insane? This cannot happen. And now we see the result. This has happened. So it is many stereotypings are fading away. Can the entire school do the homeschooling? Yes, now we are seeing it. In some countries, it is far ahead. Some are catching up, but doesn't feel that it's not possible. And also, at the end, what would see that in order to remain sustainable in such an environment, there will also be a need that will arise that how diversified workforce do we have? And then how are we going to move ahead from here? Going to the next slide, that what was the driver until now? Few of you might disagree with me, but for me, Y2K crisis was the first driver which has brought the change in all of our life. What had happened in Y2K? All of the tech companies emerged after that. Say it Google, say it Facebook, say it Amazon, Apple. Apple was anyway there, but all these tech companies have emerged. During the Y2K, the optical fiber were laid out entire globe. And this has made possible that a person sitting in US can take a service from India to order a pizza in US. And that's how the industry started to evolve. A lot of brains started going into the tech area, and technology has seen the boom. So for me, Y2K crisis was the pivotal point that things what we are seeing it now, that had enabled work from home that we are looking at, that had enabled multiple businesses which were not existing before that. Second thing, what I could say that what are the things that has enabled this is digital transformation. I can talk about my native village. My native village have not seen the landline phone. They did not see the desktop. They didn't see a laptop. They didn't see the normal mobile phone. From nothing, they moved to the smartphone. And believe me, they are a lot more, I would say, native in adopting the digital technology, whether it comes to a social media, comes to a digital payment. So this digital transformation, which all the mobility devices has brought us, and all the startups and all the companies around it, which has enabled it, all the app store and all, this has made a tremendous change to our life. And third is, which I have partially covered, emergence of tech startups. These tech startups has enable that by sitting at home, I can order my grocery. Sitting at home, I can order my taxi at any time. So it's not, I don't have to call. I can look where my grocery is. I can look where my taxi is. Even after leaving the taxi, I can know the taxi driver. I can call him to if I have forgotten something. You name it, there are multiple things that has happened. And all these small startup companies which has emerged because of the fallout of Y2K crisis and dot-com burst, this has changed our life forever. But is this what will remain in next 10 to 20 years down the line? The answer is no. The question comes in that what will drive our future? And the things that will drive our future for sure is technology. How? So we have seen the emergence of technology, what the changes it has brought us to life. Now what we are seeing it, how the different things are converging together. First, the technology was used in a supply chain by a big companies. Technology was used by a banking sector to automate banking. But now, with the cloud in place, with all ready to coding in place, anyone can have their own product built without the knowledge of technology and without much knowledge of infrastructure behind it. You just subscribe the services and you build a new product. And this is what we are seeing it now, that Technology will bring more and more changes and transformation and disruption the way we are conducting our day-to-day life. What is behind technology is driving this? First is artificial intelligence. Machines, always questions comes in, and so what is artificial intelligence? So I would say, means as a human being, we are intelligent. How? We are able to think, we are able to see, we are able to hear. Is animals also intelligent? Yes, to a certain extent, not as much as human beings are. Similarly, we have taught machine how to listen to us. Siri is a good example. We can talk to machine. It's an artificial intelligence. She can listen, she can understand, she processes the information, and she replies. I'm a little bit gender conscious here because my Siri is female, so I'm talking with reference to that. So this is what things are bringing in. Machines will able to process things like human being, and this will transform the way we are living. You would be seeing this in last 1 year, not even 2 years, that you call phone and the customer service is computer behind, and she talks or he talks quite like a natural person. You would have seen all these videos which went viral of the Google assistant. In 5 to 10 years down the line, we can't imagine to live without a digital assistant. It's the same thing. While doing an MBA, I asked my predecessors that how can anyone do MBA without Google? If anyone asked me that, can you complete your MBA without Google? Could be yes, but would have been very difficult. Similarly, at this point of time, we are not seeing that. But in future, that will again the same thing. So what I'm trying to say that these are the digital components that are coming in, and that will shape up the future work as well. Many of the work's jobs will go away, which is low-lying jobs, and many new jobs will be created. We are also seeing the changing workforce. The traditional workforce of less diversity, highly educated, education-oriented, highly traditionally education-oriented, working together at the same place at the same time. All these things are fading away. And COVID-19 has proved that despite of not seeing each other, you can still work remotely. I understand not all work can be done remotely. We cannot drive cars remotely, bus remotely, we cannot manufacture remotely, we cannot do the doctors remotely. But slowly we will see the component in each of these areas will start getting automated. And once automation is done, then it can be done from anywhere. For example, I can book a cab for my mom for going from her home to a shopping mall. She stays in India. Doesn't matter. Technology is enabling me to do all these things. And last one, which I see, is innovative businesses. A lot of disruptions are being brought up by all the tech businesses. The latest, I would say, Amazon is automating the entire warehouse, which were actually manned by 400 or 500 people in the past. We have a production plant in Mexico, which could be termed as ghost plant because there's very less people in the plant. There are many plants where 100 cars are produced with probably 20 people. Out of that, 2 or 3 are security guards, some of them are maintenance staff. The entire thing is automated. Not only that, few more businesses will arise, and that will bring a disruption that we are taking it. And certainly this will shape up the future that we are talking about. Going forward, let's have a poll. How many, so let's put the poll up, and then we ask the question to you. So globally, over the next 5 years, advances in technologies are set to create 2.1 million jobs. But how many jobs will be lost due to these advancements? And this is coming from the World Economic Forum. And your time starts now. You have 10 seconds to poll, and then we'll see the result. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see the result. So you would see the orange one is the right answer, and most of you the same thing. So almost 5 million jobs will be lost in the coming years, but the creation of job would be 2.1 million. This we are thinking in the current perspective. For example, if I go 5 years back and I say, or maybe I go into the industrial era where there was used to be an assembly line and people were tightening nuts and bolts all day to bring the car out. Later point of time, the automation came in. Because automation came in, a lot of these processes got automated, but a lot more jobs in the automation got created. When these automation were happening, people could not have imagined that behind the hardware, there could be a software. I'm talking about 100 years back. Then later on, softwares came in, social influencer came in. So a lot more jobs are getting created. But as of now, if the economic situation remains same, so we are seeing a job loss as per the World Economic Forum. Let's see the second one. So what percentage of children entering the primary school today will ultimately work in a job that does not exist now or does not exist yet? So yes, what are the percentage of children which is going to the primary school today will end up doing the job which is not existing yet? Let's have 10 seconds and I'll count down last 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see the result. So almost 50%, this is what we are talking about. 50% of the people who are going to primary school now will end up in a job which is not existing anymore. So you could understand and imagine the impact that we are going to see in the coming future. For example, when I was growing up in the school, there was no jobs like social influencer. There was no job like UI UX designer, solution architect. If there were some, it was very minimal, and that too with IBM and few of the companies. And this is what we are going to see. The pace will increase. And this also tells us that the traditional education that we are growing up is needed to enforce the fundamental, but we need to constantly learn and see. Let's have a look how the future would look like. This is a small clipping from a source, what's schoolcouldbe.org, and see how the world is going to change around us. So we are seeing this autonomous agriculture equipment. Autonomous milking machines. Buildings being constructed without people. Replacing the job of traditional worker. Bricklaying machines. These are the actual clippings. This you would have seen you on your WhatsApp many times. So now drone is being used in India to look at the people who are breaking the quarantine rules. This you can see in many of the McDonald's. And this shows the pace. This in 13 years. And these are no science fiction. Boston Dynamic, you could see many videos in YouTube. How fast are they growing in the terms of robotics that we are talking about? So what we have seen here is just a glimpse that is lying ahead of us. So let's see where the hopes are. And this is the next question to you for the poll, and see where do we stand. So which industry will have most of the new jobs in the coming years? Let's have this poll up. So which industry will have most of the jobs in the next 5 years? So we are still talking about 5, not 10 or 20. Computer, maths, architecture, engineering, science, technology, nutrition and medicine, data analytics, pharmaceuticals, maths and engineering, data analytics, pharmaceuticals, maths and engineering. So yeah, the third and fourth options are the same. This is coming from, again, a World Economic Forum before COVID-19. So things might have changed after this, but let's see where it starts. The answer is data analytics, pharmaceuticals, maths and engineering. These are the fundamental building blocks which will change the entire, all industries that we are looking at. And I'm really glad that no one answered computer, maths, architecture, and engineering. Actually, you're quite good in that perspective. So the question comes in, when the jobs are coming in this area, what am I doing, or what are we doing? Are we really aligned with the area where the jobs are? Or are we doing something else where we do not see the jobs coming into the future? And this is some questions that we need to ask ourselves. That are we doing the right thing to remain employable in next 5 to 10 years down the line? Let's go ahead and then see another poll. Like, what percentage of the jobs which exist today will be automated by 2030? This means these jobs which are being done today by a human being will be done by computers by 2030. The degree would vary from country to country, but this is taken from a Guardian as a world average. And let's see the results. Let's give 5 more seconds. Yep, let's see the results. So yes, most of you are right. We are talking about 42%, means almost half of the jobs that is being done right now will be automated. And we're talking about just 10 years. We have not seen such a transformation in human life ever. How does it impact us? For sure, it will bring more process. Now, I don't want to take the angle of a socialist and talk about the other parts, but it certainly asks an urgency to us that, am I doing the right thing to be in this 50% with the jobs still exist, or the new jobs that will be created? So this is something which technology is bringing the change. But Technology alone will not drive everything. Technology will be driven by people. Like we say that democracy is by the people, for the people, and similarly, all these changes will be driven by us, will be driven by you. What would be more important from the workforce perspective? And this is what COVID-19 is teaching us. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you're meeting physically or not. You can still contribute to the work. And this is what is the last item. I call it gigs. The gig workforce will increase more and more. Permanent jobs will get reduced. People will be paid for their expertise in the roles. And all those experts will have multiple jobs from multiple areas. Decentralization bound to happen. We will slowly getting away from a hierarchical organization, authoritative leadership, to more collaborative leadership, to a continuous learning scenario, to an area where I'm collaborating with the people of a diverse background, diverse culture, different gender, different race, different part of the world. And then we make a really productive team that we talk about. So the things that will become really important is interpersonal skills in order to survive in this extremely diversified works. Collaboration. Many a times we find it very difficult to collaborate even person to person, but now we are talking about time that I'm collaborating with all of you. I have never met Anchal, but our collaboration is pretty good in a way. Uh, we will break down works into the smaller pieces. The big monolithic piece of work delivery will go away. The agile mindset would come in, and the remote. It will be perfectly fine to accept someone working from home in India, or someone who's on who has a small baby and she can only work 3 hours a day. If she have a skills, those things will this will not only be accepted but will also be appreciated. And this is how the future of workforce would look like: extremely diversified, decentralized, and accepted the way person is. Just the focus would be how we are bringing the value to the organization. Now, coming back to the point which we started from a diversity point of view, uh, there's an interesting finding that globally, how many organizations are committing the diversity rates higher than ever. I would like to add few points here that if we say, if we look historically, uh, if I go 200 years down the line, 300 years down the line, I'm not being, so it's like many of the jobs were oriented for men. Men were going out, working, and women were at home, taking care of the children. These things have started changing. And now we are talking about equality, not only equality in terms of gender, also equality in terms of religion, also equality in terms of race, also equality in terms of uh, culture. We embrace the differences that we have it, and we'll talk about it. What are the benefits which organizations are looking at? I'm sorry. Can we put the poll again up? If you have results, then we can move to the results as well. Salome. Yeah. So we have this results, and the thing is that it says that almost 50% of the organizations are endorsing diversity and inclusion at the higher rates than ever. This means there will be a lot more acceptance for the people who are coming from a different background. And why governments, why companies are doing it? The companies are doing it because they have seen a positive impact in it. If you look at the most creative, innovative companies, they have all these diverse pool of resources who are able to bring the different perspectives, who are able to bring the creativity and innovation, and this also improves the motivation. Businesses are no longer thinking about printing top line and bottom line, but positive impact that they are seeing in the society with D&I is also impacting business top line and bottom line differently. Uh, how to explain this? So this means, in a simple term, I would like to explain it that historically we were seeing coal. So we are burning coal, getting this heat and cooking food. So coal was burned for the hot and the food was prepared. So this was the traditional thinking about how we are hiring people and getting work done, and then how this is maintaining my top line and bottom line. During the Industrial Revolution, we saw that burning coal can also move train. So this was a completely different viewpoints that we were not aware of, that, okay, by burning coal, I can go from one point to another point. And this is what is this is what is being seen in a D&I. By bringing D&I, by improving the positive impact of in the society, this is also increasing the demand. And this is how things, it's like a win-win situation for everyone. Let's go into the next one, and I would not bore you from the polls anymore, but let's have a look that globally, how many organizations think lack of diversity is perceived to be a barrier to progress. Again, this source is CWC, and let's have this poll in front of us. So globally, how many organizations think a lack of diversity is perceived to be a barrier to progress? 80%, 60%, 40%, or 20%? Let's see the result. So almost 40% of the organizations are looking at that the diversity is perceived as a barrier. If we do not have a diverse crowd or the people who are actually contributing to the work, this might create a barrier to the progression. Why we see 40%? Because different industry have different expectations. When we go into the service industry, there's a lot more as compared to the traditional offshore mining or mining industry. And the data over here taken is globally from all the companies. So the questions comes in from here is, how would life look like? What do I need to do now? Or what are the key takeaways can I take from today and go back and think and see, what do I need to do? So the strategy is lifelong learning. Things are gone that I have come out from an Ivy League university and now I stopped learning. Then the growth will also fade away. The tech literacy will become essential. I mean, I would say when I was growing up, English was seen as one of the language which everyone has to hone their skills in order to get a good job. Yes, because it means India itself is a very diverse country, and not every part of the states speaks the same language. And with more and more globalization happening, we need to have a language in place which everyone understands. Similarly, the tech literacy will become essential. I give you an example. Think about 30 years down the line when any boss have a secretary. Probably she wouldn't be having tech skill, and it would not have been even needed. She could have done things on paper, pen, and all. But with the changing time, if the same secretary doesn't know how to use laptop, then she will no longer be relevant to the job. And this matches also with a lifelong learning. In current days, if secretaries are not digital savvy, it will be very difficult for them to contribute to their boss, because they need to book a travel, they need to book the status, they need to collaborate with multiple people, and all these requests comes in the multiple ways. And this, she needs to be ready for that. So what I'm trying to say, that you take any job, lifelong learning and tech literacy will be essential. I can take out my father is almost 78 years old, and he learned how to use smartphone when he was 70. He used almost all the apps, everything by himself, except for the digital banking, where he's not confident of doing it. But like if it's social media, searching information from the net, booking things, And this is what is needed for everyone. Tech literacy will become an essential component to an extent that everyone, if they are knowing a little bit more behind it in terms of data, in terms of fundamentals of the work, that would help. And you would be amazed that many of the schools abroad have made programming compulsory, as the languages are there. Third most important point is collaboration and cultural sensitivity. The more diverse crowd would come in, the collaboration has to be improved. And this collaboration requires a high level of sensitivity in a way that I'm not meeting people, I'm not seeing people, and at the same time, I'm able to work efficiently. I'm not stereotyping anyone based on where they come from and what they are, but working on the content. And last is transformational workplaces, like where we are. I mean, so most of the time, my dining table becomes workplace. And if my child makes more noise, then I have to come back and lock myself in a room. So, so similarly, you would have seen this. All these co-working spaces is transforming it. Bali and Goa becoming a favored workplace for the gig workers. So these things will change. We would not expect everyone to be physically together to do and deliver things. This might vary differently from one industry to another industry, but this is what we are looking at the future. So yeah, 40 minutes, Anchal, I'm done. And let's go through the questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav. It's really, it's really helpful to understand what will be the future with technology due to this outbreak. So here we are having some questions from the attendees. So one of a person is asking, since you have mentioned about various marketplace like taxi booking, food delivery, unfortunately these are based on immediately like Uber, Swiggy respectively. So do you think with the advent of blockchain and smart contract, such organization will die and new set of businesses will come? How will be the business shape up?
So now we are talking about one particular technology and how this technology will evolve. So predominantly, blockchains are used for traceability, whether it's an accounting ledger traceability, whether it's a coin traceability, or in the area of supply chain. So these are the really live use cases in the area of finance, in the area of supply chain, and have rightly mentioned in terms of the financial contracts and all. Although the adoption is pretty low at this point of time. Recently, RBI has confirmed that the bitcoins or the virtual coins they will accept. Not many banks are doing it. In terms of the blockchain, particularly technology, if we talk about, when it comes to the computation to a very large extent, this also becomes a challenging job. How I see it, we would be able to harness the full potential of blockchain by using quantum computing. But when it comes to the blockchain and Uber, Airbnb, or say Food Panda and all, the blockchain will collaborate with these tools in order to create a traceability of the supply chain, create the traceability of the customers, and help these companies to mine the data uh, and to provide a customized services to individual, which at present would not be possible because of the quantum of data that we have. So both will coexist. This is what my take would be.
Okay. So the next question is how the employee pushback can be controlled while implementing a digital business change or tech transformation within a small or medium organization.
So when we take about the small and medium organization, see, we need to fundamentally understand that why the pushbacks happen. Pushback happens, the first thing that comes into any change is a fear that what will happen to me? If my job is automated, then I'm no longer relevant. This is the first thing. Second, it happens that, okay, this change is coming in, but I don't know about this change. How will I survive? Would I able to do it? Or won't I able to do it? So what I fundamentally, this is applicable to any change management, whether it's a digital transformation, that bring employee into the confidence that how, and show them the overall bigger picture, that how this transformation will enable them, will enable the company, and how everyone can get benefit out of it. This is the first thing. Second thing is, if we are not doing this, then what are the risks we are undergoing through it? I give you an example. I mean, these are very traditional examples you would have heard millions of times. Kodak is no longer existing. Nokia is no longer existing. Uh, so the people, the companies couldn't adopt the change fast. It becomes the existence crisis. Uh, the bookstore goes away. Netflix becomes the biggest thing. Before Netflix, there was a company who are which has disrupted the books by lending all the discs and all. We have seen floppy drive, we have seen discs, floppy disk, and then the cassettes and the CDs. Nothing is relevant anymore. So all businesses have a need in order to transform to be relevant to the future. If this is well explained to the employees, also told them that what are the positive impact they will have, and also how the cross skilling will help the individuals, I would foresee that the pushback would be quite less and low. Yeah.
So the next one is how do we define gig economy as a whole, and what will be the major contributors to gig economy?
So if we say gig economy is again, it's nothing new that we are talking about. Wherever we talk about temporary stuff, wherever we talk about contractual, more or less, this is gig more is that I'm not having you on my roles, but I'm engaging you as and when needed for that particular service. And when the service is not needed, you are released to the common pool. And as a gig employee, I'm not binded by one company to give my 7 years or 10 years of my life sitting, for example, back in one city. Today I can work for Apple for a project. Tomorrow I can work for Facebook, and day after tomorrow I can work with one of the social upliftment company who's or NGO who's really working to upgrade the skills of the poor or disadvantaged. So both way there are when we say advantage and disadvantage. Coming back to the point that how can we measure the gig, probably looking into it, that what percentage of the economy is contributed by the people who are not on roles for one particular company. And second, what was the second question? I'm sorry. The second part of the question.
Yeah. And what will be the major contributors to gig economy?
See, the major contributor of the gig economy would be the technology. The technology will enable us or to work from anywhere to anywhere. I manage my team almost 3/4 of the globe, sitting in Singapore. There are many locations which I've never been physically there, but day after day, month after month, year after year, we deliver the solutions. We enable their business to work, starting from New Zealand to Canada. And then, so technology would be the first factor that will enable. Second is individual skill sets. Is my skill fitting into the gig economy which is needed outside? Now I'm becoming more technology centric, but it is also true when, for example, now if you see, even video prescription, video medical is becoming more common because of the COVID. Doctors are not visiting patients, but doing the video call and seeing it. Similarly, teachers are not visiting students, doing the video call and teaching them. So any kind of uh, profession which can deliver value while being away, either through phone or video. So these would enable the gig more.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav, for making us understand what is gig economy and economy is, and what is decentralized workforce, and how technology can help us in future. and what will be the future of work. So, any other questions? Anything which you would like to add? And we are having some more questions. I think we are running out of time, so I want to wrap up this session today. So, anything else, Mr. Gaurav, which you would
So
like to add?
yes, I would like to share a small story which all of you would relate to. So when we were growing up, I'm quite old, so I have seen a lot more things, probably what you guys have not seen it. So when we were growing up, the dialing phone came into the picture, and a lot of businesses of PCO popped up. PCO is public calling, where so businesses are there, and this business didn't last more than 10 years. After this PCO, the mobile came in, and the PCO disappeared. There were some entrepreneurial guys who started in parallel with PCO, a computer center, small computer center, training the basics of computer. So they survived. Going further, a lot of structured training center came in, and these guys converted this into the cyber cafe, where people can come in and then do the internet and all, because at that point of time, mobility devices, smartphone were not there, laptop were expensive, desktop were expensive. They survived pretty well. And I'm particularly talking about one guy close to my home. And now, after some years, this cyber cafe also went away when all the data were available, smartphones started coming in, people stopped going over there. And what came in, that this guy transformed himself to a small where people goes there to take the printouts, to book the train and flights, to update the Aadhaar details, taking copy of Aadhaar, paying taxes. So what I have seen him over the last 15 years, transforming himself periodically in order to remain relevant, what is needed, be aware of what change are coming in, and getting himself ready to that change. And actually, this is what we all need. We cannot remain complacent what we know now and how we do things. That will pose a risk sooner or later. Continuous learning, upgrading ourselves is the need of the hour. And with this, whatever you do, you would be able to do better than before. This is what I would say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav. So we are having some more questions, but don't worry, attendees. We will be posting your question with some answers on our social media. And now I'm just wrapping up this session and would like to thank Mr. Gaurav for his valuable answers and suggestions, which will really make us understand what will be the future of work. I would like to thank all the participants to join this webinar. We hope we see you again next time.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
a
much.
lot.